You ever have a total stranger show up on your property, start barking orders, and it hits you? They actually think they run the place. That was my welcome to the neighborhood moment. There I was, unloading hay dust in the air hands full, when this woman comes storming across the yard, pink visor yoga pants clipboard like it's a sheriff's badge, doesn't even bother with a hello. Just points at my barn and yells, "That shade of red violates community color codes." For a second I thought maybe she was lost or having some kind of episode because I hadn't even unpacked half my boxes before the HOA cavalry rolled in. I set down the bale, wiped my hands on my jeans, and said, "You must be lost. My ranch isn't part of your HOA." Honest to God, she froze, jaw dropped, like I'd told her I keep a rocket launcher in the garage. Then she recovers, points toward the paved road, and snaps, "That's HOA property. You can't just build next to us and ignore the rules." I leaned on my fence, calm as you please, and said, "That road runs through my land, ma'am, not the other way around. You all been using it by mistake." She tried to laugh it off, but you could see it in her eyes, the gears spinning. I pulled out the old county plat, showed her clear as day. All the color drained from her face. That was it, the exact moment the war started, right there on the gravel between my boots and her $200 sneakers. She stormed off shouting the HOA would handle this legally. I just muttered, "Good." I like paperwork, and watched her stomp away, dust curling around her ankles. You could almost smell the storm coming. My new place was right on the edge of Willow Creek Estates, a community so obsessed with appearances they once banned wind chimes for being too reflective. I'd bought the ranch because it wasn't under their thumb, peace, quiet, no self-appointed sheriffs nitpicking paint colors. But that night, as I watched the sunset burn gold over their cookie-cutter houses, I realized peace was going to be the last thing I got. Not long after, I found a notice pinned to my gate violation, non-conforming agricultural structures, signed by Karen A. Blakemore, HOA president. The ink was barely dry, and she was already fining me like I was some kid with a broken mailbox. I actually laughed out loud. Couldn't help it. Next morning, I drove straight to the county recorder's office. I handed the clerk my old survey map. She squinted, traced the lines, looked up, and grinned. "Yep, you own that road. HOA had an easement, but it expired 6 years ago. They never renewed it." I got 3 certified copies, grinned all the way home, picturing Karen's face when she realized she'd been trespassing on my land. That week, the HOA's tone changed from friendly neighbor to armed invader. Letters came every day, requests, then demands, then flat-out accusations. They claimed I'd damaged their property, ruined their precious aesthetic, and my personal favorite, trespassed on HOA land. That last one made me laugh so hard I almost spit coffee. Time for a message they couldn't ignore. I called a fencing company, ordered new gates, and by the next evening had the road sealed with steel posts, cameras, and keypad locks. That gate shone in the sunset like a line in the sand. Of course, Karen came creeping by that night in her shiny SUV, stopped short at the gate, got out, snapped a photo, and sped off. I watched from my porch, coffee in hand, and muttered, "There goes the neighborhood." Next day, she's back with 2 board members arguing at my gate. Clipboard in hand, she yells, "We're filing for an injunction. This road is public access." I just held up my certified plat, stamped and sealed. Might want to file that under fiction. One of the men actually deflated when he saw the seal. They drove off. Karen yelling, "You'll regret this. You can't cut off a whole community," I just whispered. Just did. What came next was classic smear campaigns on Facebook flyers and mailboxes. Wild stories about me blocking school buses. Never mind, there wasn't a school for miles. The noise didn't bother me. I'd come here for quiet, earned it through chaos, and if they wanted to fight, they'd learn ranchers don't scare easy. Then came a certified letter, remove the gate immediately or face legal action. Their lawyer quoted HOA bylaws that didn't apply to me. I tossed it in my rainy day file because I knew this wasn't over. People like Karen, when they're wrong, don't admit it, they double down. Then the trespassing started. First, a bright orange violation flyer nailed to my gate, $500 fine for impeding community access. I laughed so hard coffee almost shot out my nose. I took it right to the county. The clerk just shook her head. They still think they own that road. I'll resend them the notice from 6 years ago. On the way home, I grabbed new trail cameras and signs Private Road County Record Number 1942. If paperwork didn't work, maybe evidence would. Sure enough, that afternoon, Karen rolled up again, this time with more board members, and a guy in a cheap suit claimed to be their legal advisor. I told them politely that they were trespassing and I'd be happy to call the sheriff. Karen demanded I let them inspect community property. I pulled out my phone, hit record, and said, "Go ahead, explain it to the sheriff." She accused me of harassment. I reminded her she was on my land. She shouted, "We'll see you in court, cowboy," and sped off in a cloud of dust. That night I reviewed the footage, every word, every threat, all backed up in 3 places. A lifetime running construction taught me evidence is your best defense. 2 days later, I came home to find fresh tire tracks and one of my signs ripped out, wire cut. Trail cam caught it clear as daylight, Karen's SUV, 2 guys pulling posts laughing. That was it. I filed a report with the sheriff. Deputy Collins shook his head. "You're not the first to tangle with that HOA, but you're the first with them cornered legally." He promised to send a warning. For a few days it went quiet. Too quiet. Then came the official letter from a law firm demanding the gates removal, citing laws that didn't apply to private ranch land. I replied, calm and factual, deed and expired easement attached, sent it certified. That weekend, Karen hosted a full-on HOA emergency meeting at my gate, 20 people, folding tables, banners, balloons. She ranted about illegal land seizure and safety hazards. I rolled up on my ATV and simply said, "Sheriff's already verified my rights." A few residents looked stunned. One even asked, "Wait, did we really lose access legally?" Karen turned red, snapped at him to be quiet. The first crack in her armor. That night Collins called, got complaints you're blocking ambulances and school buses. He chuckled, "No bus route or ambulance station for miles. Just thought you'd want to know." Karen had moved from confrontation to manipulation. I knew a reckless play was coming. Sure enough, a delivery truck got misdirected. HOA told him to use my road. I sent him the long county back road instead. As he bounced down the rough track, I realized my road was the only easy route in or out of Willow Creek. They'd built their world assuming privilege was permanent. Now not so much. They kept fighting. Fake environmental complaints, more Facebook drama, even a county investigator showed up, but every paper, every permit, every camera, all pointed to the truth. I stayed calm, kept records, called in every violation, and let the law speak louder than the rumors. Finally, it all broke. County engineers surveyed the boundaries, orange markers clear as day. A news crew showed up, ran the whole story, expired easement, vandalism, fake claims. My name came out polished. Karen's, not so much. Then the county closed the old road, permanently damaged, too severe, not worth the fix. That was the final straw. Karen tried everything. Social media meltdowns, flyers accusing me of endangering kids, late-night sabotage, even dumping trash to frame me. Every time I caught them on camera, sent it straight to the authorities. The county issued an injunction. HOA funds got frozen, audits started, residents got angry. Board meetings turned into screaming matches. 2 board members resigned, families started moving out. Karen's grip slipped, desperation replaced confidence. And then the grand finale. In a midnight rainstorm, Karen and her loyal crew tried to break through the new barricade with bolt cutters and a tow strap. I caught it all on camera. Called Collins County trucks, rolled in deputies, made arrests right there in the storm. Charges were filed: property destruction, violating a state order, defamation, and misuse of HOA funds. At the final hearing, the judge didn't even let Karen's lawyer finish before declaring the HOA's charter void. Her actions criminal, my rights absolute. Karen had to pay damages. lost her title, and the Willow Creek HOA poof dissolved. Walking out of that courthouse, the air felt fresh, like rain had finally washed the last bit of dust from the sky. Neighbors waved, county folks thanked me, and I didn't feel like the villain anymore. Just a man who'd stood his ground and let the truth win out. That night I sat by my gate, ran my hand over the old plat map, listened to the wind in the grass, and finally let myself breathe. Funny thing about fences, they keep out what doesn't belong, but they also remind folks where respect ends and arrogance begins. The ranch was quiet. The land was mine. And for the first time since this circus started, the silence felt like home again. So, what do you think? Was I right to dig in my heels, or should I have caved just to keep the peace? Ever tangled with a power-hungry HOA, or had a neighbor try to rewrite the rules on you? Drop your stories in the comments. Let's hear about your own battles for respect, justice, and a little peace and quiet. And hey, if you stood your ground and won, don't forget to hit that subscribe. There's plenty more where this came from.